look, you're a producer somewhere, you're an agent somewhere, you're killing it, and you can know everything there is to know about starting an agency, and that's fantastic. But unless you actually give notice to the agency you're at and leave and actually sign your lease on your new office and get started, that's the leap that you have to take. And I think that's the thing that I think a lot of people wonder, can I do this? Is this something that I'll be able to be successful at? The answer is yes. If you do even a quarter of the stuff in this book and then you open your own shop, it's going to work out well. It's going to work out. Who knows exactly what the future holds. So I hope it gives people the confidence to take that leap.
Hey, welcome back to the CA Power Player Podcast. I'm your host, Cody Askins. Special guest today. I'm telling you, you don't want to miss this. I got a couple of special things for you today as well. From Woodland Hills, California, with Gaspar Insurance Services, and a brand new book literally launching right now. Please welcome to the podcast, Tim Gaspar. What is up, Tim?
Awesome. What's up, Cody? How's it going? Thank you for having me.
Dude, appreciate you being here. I know you've had a ton of success, right? You even have a part of your book that's like, hey, dress the part.
Yeah.
What was the inspiration like? But before we dive into your story, like you have your new book just launched, The Biggest Leap, and
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm waiting on my copy. I'm excited to read it. Like you've clued me in on some of the behind the scenes and the secrets and some of the details and stories, and I'm so jacked to read it. I think it's awesome. Also, for those listening, we've added the link below for you to click that and grab The Biggest Leap. Go support Tim. Go learn how to scale your business, how to be a better entrepreneur and really grow. What was the inspiration behind the book?
It was a couple things. I built my business over a period of 15 years, and then I sold it at the end of 2021. And when I sold it, I was sort of looking for a way to be able to tell the story in a way that would help people. And, I'm in a lot of the same agent groups as a lot of agency owners and, seeing different products and books that are sold online. And one thing I noticed when I've bought so many books about like building agencies and sales and stuff, but a lot of the time when I would buy one of these books in regards to building an agency, the person that wrote the book never built an agency. Or if they did build an agency, it's like false advertising. They'd say like, how to build $1 million agency. And they were talking about premium. They weren't talking about commission. And I'd be like, oh man, that's you can't spend premium. So in regards to my own journey and my own sale, I thought, there's some things that I did within my own journey that in hindsight were really, really important in regards to being able to scale and being able to put myself in a position to sell at a really good multiple that I thought, this is stuff that I want to pass along because it's not necessarily super complex stuff, but it's things you might not necessarily know unless somebody kind of lays out the blueprint in regards to how to do certain things.
Yes,
so
100%.
Looking to help the industry and agents that want to be entrepreneurs like me. That's my motivation.
Yeah. And is that who should, like, if they're listening and they're like, okay, is this book for me? Is it for anyone? Is it for a certain type of person?
Yeah, I think it's for two specific types of individuals. One would be somebody who already owns an independent agency. So it could be, you started your agency 6 months ago. It can be you started your agency, 20 years ago, and you're just wondering, like, how do you scale it? How do you get to the next level to be able to really grow? So that's one set of folks. And then the other set of folks are folks that, you're an entrepreneur in your heart, and maybe you're just interested in insurance, or maybe you're working as a producer or an agent for another office, or maybe you've got a State Farm or a farmer's office and you're thinking about opening an independent agency. So if you're not yet in a position where you own an independent agency and you're wondering, like a lot of people, like, where do I even start? Like, what's the right way to do this? Then this book is absolutely for you. It's going to give you really the blueprint on how exactly you do it and how you do it the right way.
Yeah. So, and so for those that are like, okay, I don't know who Tim Gaspar is. Like, Cody says this dude's legit and he's accomplished a lot and all this stuff. I'm going to check out the book, whatever. For those that are like, hey, who is Tim? Brag on yourself, man. Like, talk through your journey, what you've accomplished. Obviously, exiting a company in 2021 towards the end, like that says a lot. That says a lot to me because so many businesses fail most never actually exit.
Yeah.
Talk through your journey and success.
Sure. So I'm gonna start with the end, because I think it gives relevance to the whole story, and I think there's a credibility component there. And just like you pointed out, Cody, I don't ever talk about numbers because I'm trying to brag. Like, truthfully, like I'm just not that person in regards to like,
no, you're not
wanting to paint that kind of picture, because it's really about helping other people. But when I sold 2 weeks after my 40th birthday. I'm sorry, 2 months after my 40th birthday, and my upfront the upfront sale price was $26 million. And that doesn't count the additional, earn-out components that happen over a 3-year period.
Wow.
So, significant. It's definitely, and that's, that was the size of the check. We're not talking about premium dollars, like I alluded to a few minutes ago.
Let's go.
Yeah. So it's, so for me, that was, it was obviously regardless of how you measure it, a meaningful transaction. But backing up to sort of the beginning of my career as an entrepreneur, I think like a lot of entrepreneurs, and probably like yourself included, Cody, I'm a lifelong entrepreneur. When I was in when I was in elementary school, I was selling candy to kids out of my backpack. I had lemonade and haunted houses in high school. And then when I was in high school, I had these giant moon bounces, like the big giant inflatables for kids' parties.
Yep.
And I had those, and I had some other businesses. And then when I was 20 years old, I hadn't gone to college. I was just out of high school, and I got sued by a major company. And that's a whole nother story that's in my book. And I was bankrupt at age 20. So at 20 years old, I was completely bankrupt, and, just a huge disappointment to my family. And they were looking to make sure that like they were not connected to me in any way to get looped into this lawsuit. And so I was really at a point when a lot of people are just sort of starting out with college and exciting things happening. I was at rock bottom. I really had I hadn't gone to school, and it just wasn't a hopeful picture. And I still remember what that feels like, and I'm sure other people can relate. And it was shortly after that moment that I was aware of the insurance business because of a family member that I had that sort of acted as a mentor, something else I also go over in the book, and started as an insurance agent doing auto and home insurance, and started building a book of business and had a contract that allowed me to buy my clients out. And so I did that when I was 25 years old, and put one foot in front of the other. And a lot of the systems I talk about in the book, I learned all that stuff the hard way. I learned by not doing it, and then, realizing an error, shortly after I made it, and thinking, okay, I got to correct that. Or if I did that again, I would do it differently. And so just figured out my systems and scaled the business over a period of 15 years. And I always grew anywhere from 15 to 25% per year in my top line revenue. Wow. And got to a point in 2021 that I said, I'm looking to take the next step in my career. And I felt the timing made sense, and I took that step. Dude, so, and that brings us where we're at today.
That's an amazing journey. Congratulations. That's such a cool feeling. And to grow 15 to 25% in top line revenue year after year. It's easy for like a few years, but then people start getting to such a number that it's like really hard to sustain and keep growing and keep scaling, that's when it seems to get really tough. But I have a couple really key questions that I'm excited to ask. But before I get to that piece, two things. Number one, I know you guys are listening. You're loving this freaking interview. You're like, dude, I need to grab the book, The Biggest Leap. Go. I'm telling you. Okay, you get the book, you don't get a nugget and you don't love it, dude, I'll give you your freaking money back. Okay, because I can promise you that is going to happen. Link is below. Grab the book, The Biggest Leap. What were some of the things you were doing to like grow the top line consistently?
Well, one, I was targeted in regards to what sort of business I was going after. So one thing is in regards to growing, and it's maybe a little bit counterintuitive. You can't go after every type of business, because if you do, you might grow for a little while, but what'll eventually happen is you'll end up being so inefficient and just sort of all over the place, whether it just be you running the business or your team members, it'll actually slow down your growth. And so knowing what kind of business you're going after, whether it be personal lines or commercial lines, whatever it is really important. And then being, for me, a relationship person, just being a relationship machine. So what I mean by that is, I was never the type of person that ever bought leads. And if that were, I know there's business models that works, and I'm not, saying that's a bad thing at all. But for me, going out and networking just every single day in the first few years of my business, because at a certain point I had to shift more to operations, but by focusing on the relationship piece, I always had people in the community that were basically doing the work for me, whether it meant not only just sending referrals for new business, but also I'd always make it known with folks I had relationships with that I was always hiring. That was always a part of my story. So, I was always getting calls from folks that might say, oh, my son just got out of college looking for a job, or, my wife was thinking about, she hasn't worked for the last 2 years. She's looking to come back to the workforce, or so many different neat opportunities that I had to interview producers. Because most of the producers that I ever found, I found through word of mouth and referrals, as opposed to like placing ads in the papers. Anybody who's ever hired anybody knows that's a tough way to go. It's just, you get lucky sometimes, but placing ads and then kind of like crossing your fingers and hoping to get a great resume is pretty tough for sure.
For sure, man. Actually, you brought some value to me there with those answers too, because awesome. I've got one company specifically that's become a little bit more disconnected from me. The relationship machine has not been there. And we try to sell everything to everyone. And it's it's hard to scale that way. And it is very inefficient. Yeah, I totally agree. Love that. Love that. That's freaking brilliant feedback, by the way. That shows that he's, Tim's a high level business person just from those few mentions. Like, you can see it, you can feel it. I do have a couple questions because I've never been handed a check for $26 million. Not yet.
Yeah, that's right. Not yet. That's the key.
How did that feel?
Oh man, I was. It's funny. So this was not timed this way on purpose, but when the deal closed, I was in Hawaii on a family trip, and that wasn't planned. Like, oh, I want to be in Hawaii when this thing closes. It closed on New Year's Eve, and it was actually like there's a lot of work to be done at the end there. So like I really just spent the whole trip in a hotel room, just definitely not like looking at the ocean, but it was a crazy feeling. You know what it felt like? If you've ever like ran a marathon or done like any sort of challenge that's sort of not something that's instantaneous like a sprint, but something that's kind of drawn out a little bit.
Yeah, like a marathon or Ironman. Yeah,
something like that. It felt like, sort of the end of sort of a long challenge. And, it felt like the medal. And I knew that in a lot of ways it was really just the start of a new chapter in so many ways.
Yeah.
But it's a feeling that, you can't really describe. And it's really just about the fact that, you built this thing and it had value to somebody else. So it wasn't so much like the dollars themselves. It was what those dollars meant in regards to being recognized for this thing that, somebody thought it had value.
Amen to that. A bunch of value to it. Yeah. That's awesome that was your thought process too. Everybody always asks, man, what would you do if I gave you this amount of money? When you woke up the next day, what were you thinking? What'd you do next?
Yeah. So I went to a pancake place. And so I took my family to a pancake place. It's not like, we didn't do like crazy lobster or anything like that. Yeah. And for the first, 6 months afterwards, from a lifestyle standpoint, I didn't do anything unusual, because I think like you certainly hear stories where somebody has a big financial event and sort of like goes off the deep end and gets themselves into trouble. So I definitely took 6 months to kind of figure out, kind of where I was, because it can be a little bit disorienting. And then ultimately ended up, buying a new house for my family and I, and sort of the type of home that I always envisioned that was, a block away from my pop's house. So, walking distance, which was to be able to buy something that was so close to him and have him sort of see that. And unfortunately, I wouldn't have known this at the time, but that was I bought the house next to him 2 months before he passed away in an accident. And so the fact that I was able to have this transaction and buy this house and have him see it, it was meaningful at the time. But then in hindsight, much, much more meaningful, because if I would have sold the business and done this after he passed, the meaning just wouldn't have been. Everybody has their own meaning in regards to what motivates them. And for me, it was really like, sort of being able to do it so he could see it was a big part of it. And so the fact that I was able to do that and with the timing is something that, I'm definitely grateful for sure.
Yeah. That's awesome. And to be that close, like, yeah, that's really
great.
cool. Bro, to share that.
Thank you.
If someone's out there and they're like, okay, what can I expect to learn? I know who it's for. I'm one of those two people. Now, what can I expect to learn? I mean, how much is the book? Like,
Sure. $15.
$15. Easily.
You'll get a return on your investment, I promise.
Yeah, exactly. Implement one thing, and trust me, you'll get $15. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
What can they expect to learn by grabbing a copy of The Biggest Leap?
Well, really, the book is essentially split up into two pieces. The first piece is really just how to build your book yourself. So when I say that, I'm referring to more from like you writing the business as a producer, like the best way to be able to get referrals, the type of business that you want to write, some tips in there in regards to some things that you want to know while you're building your book of business, like what kind of clients to avoid and certain things like that. And so that's the first part. And the second part is how to start and scale your agency once you have your agency off the ground. And so that will just, it shares a lot of potential pitfalls and what kind of questions you need to ask in certain situations. But the biggest thing about the book, and this is in regards to the title, The Biggest Leap. So between chapters 1 and 2, look, you're a producer somewhere, you're an agent somewhere, you're killing it, and you can know everything there is to know about starting an agency. And that's fantastic, but unless you actually give notice to the agency you're at and leave and actually sign your lease on your new office and get started, that's the leap that you have to take. And I think that's the thing that I think a lot of people wonder if they, can I do this? Is this something that I'll be able to be successful at? And I hope that the book communicates that, the answer is yes. If you do even a quarter of the stuff in this book and then you open your own shop, it's going to work out well. It's going to work out. Who knows exactly what the future holds. So I hope it gives people the confidence to take that leap.
Yeah, I hope it does too, man. And it's, you know what? At some point in life, they got to take a leap. So hopefully this can be the encouragement to do that and take a big one. Why not? You have, and it's paid off, and it's also, dude, what I respect about you is you could come on our YouTube channel like some and, beat your chest and brag about you and all the money and all the pieces and everything you got going on. But dude, you're just like, here I am. Here's who I am. I learned. I'm humble. I care. The moments mean more than the money. And you know what?
Oh, 100%, for sure.
I want to help other people do the same. Like, that's really cool. I appreciate you being like that.
No, it means the world to me. Absolutely. It's, I have to measure myself now based on how many other people I'm able to help.
Yeah.
Because, you find out pretty early in life, like at least most people, like it's not all about you. It's about what kind of impact can you make. And I was always like that with my clients and with my team. And I'm hoping that the book will allow me to hopefully make an impact with more folks that I haven't met.
Yeah, I hope so too, buddy. I have a feeling it will. For those that click the link below and grab the book, if they want to communicate with you in some way afterwards, social, email, whatever, what would you be comfortable sharing, and how could they reach out for more help?
Sure. So when you get the book, it actually gives you access to my website. And on the website, there's a bunch of references that I mentioned in the book. So just certain spreadsheets I give you access to, or ideas and things that were just like too tedious, or I couldn't really lay them out the right way in the book. And so in the book, in the website, there's also a way to be able to contact me. And and I mean this when I say it, the folks can contact me, whether it be via email or phone or whatever it is. It's not some deal where it's like, and every time you email me, it's going to be, X amount of dollars. It's not the deal at all. It really, like when I say the mission of the book is to help people, I mean it. And so if you contact me via email or phone or whatever it is with questions that you have that you want to know more about certain items that are in the book, or maybe something that I forgot to put in the book, I definitely want to encourage people to do that. And that's something that whether you use my phone number or email, or you find me on Facebook or Instagram or one of those things and reach out, I'm always going to respond and spend as much time and give the best answer that I can.
Dude, I love that. You're an incredible dude. The Biggest Leap by Mr. Tim Gaspar. Tim, thank you for jumping on the channel and the podcast. I appreciate you hanging out. Thanks for writing the book. And I appreciate you hanging out with us today.
Oh man, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And hopefully, you'll get the first copy.
Let's go, man.
A day or so.
I love it. Thank you, Tim. Thank you guys for listening. Click the link below and grab the book, The Biggest Leap, right down below, and we will see you on the next podcast. Appreciate you guys.
Thanks, Cody.
Hey, if you enjoyed this, I got another one you're going to love. It's right there. Click on it. See you in there.
I'm so excited for today's CA Power Player podcast. I'm your host, Cody Askins. We got a special guest. He is back on the channel talking about how to sell life insurance from home. Here's what I love about this person. Okay, I'm telling you, this will be one of the best.